amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing, individually and collectively, as it was established at birth.
I'm Crystal Gunn, founder of the Amazing Woman Network and host of Amazing Women Speak. So share this with your friends so they can join in on this conversation. Don't keep it to yourself. We're going to talk about some great things tonight. And so as we continue our healthcare discussion, today is all about Black women and childbirth. And so here's a little bit of information to set the mood for the conversation today. So pregnancy-related mortality is 4 to 5 times higher for Black women than non-Hispanic white women. And the CDC has awarded more than $45 million over 5 years to support the work of maternal mortality review committees. And data suggests that 60% or more of pregnancy-related deaths could have been prevented. That's a crazy, crazy number, right? But it is what it is. And we speak all the time on how we must be advocates for ourselves when it comes to the healthcare system, but we also need alternatives and others to be advocates for us as well. So today we're going to dig into that just a little bit. So Michele, as always, welcome. And I can't think of anyone I would rather have sitting next to me on this podcast and leading these discussions other than you, my friend. And so I am grateful for your yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good evening. It is my honor to again share this platform with you, Crystal, and another conversation on deck with two amazing women talking about another important topic. As Black women, probably the most important topic as we think about motherhood that we should be having and aren't having often enough. I'm really excited to bring these two women in so that you can hear from them, learn about their stories, and more important, Facebook, we invite you to be a part of this conversation. Drop your questions in the chat. It's a learning opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to be in community, understanding as givers of life what it means to advocate for ourselves and what are the avenues outside of traditional medicine that was not designed for us. That system was not designed for us. How do we pay attention? How do we get the help that we need? So I'm really excited to have this conversation. And so we want to start with some introductions, and then we will, as always, launch deep. Erika, come on in here and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erika Millender, and I am a birth and postpartum doula. I am a Lamaze certified childbirth educator, and I am a lactation support professional. And right now, one of my joys, in addition to supporting families in this sacred space, is working with Birth Detroit as a childbirth educator. So that is who I am. That is what I do. And I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Erika. Look forward to learning, right? Like you're touching all of the buckets, and that's really exciting. And so we also have Leah with us tonight. Leah, come on in and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Leah, and I am a licensed professional therapist here in Metro Detroit. And recently, as of last week, has just completed my training to be a birthing doula. And so I'm super excited about being on this journey and helping and supporting women, Black women especially, and birthing people as they go on this journey of delivering and giving birth.
Awesome. So I just want to start this conversation, need to back up a little bit. And so usually Crystal and I have some conversation the week prior. I know what's coming. And so that week was hectic for me. So I learned in the moment last Sunday what tonight's topic was. And so I had just had a conversation with Leah. We were talking, catching up, and she had just told me she had got certified. And I was so excited because Leah, she's young, she doesn't have children. And so my question to her was why, right? And so certainly no longer, it hadn't been 24 hours between having that conversation that Crystal said, we're going to be taught. And I was like, wait, what? All things in divine order, right? And so when I asked her, she was like, I'm not experienced, I'm just getting started. I said, there's a part of your story that needs to be shared. One, because you're a millennial. Two, because you're not a mother, and you still yet see the importance because of the clients you serve in your practice. You belong on this platform to provide your voice and to really, right? Like we think of doulas as older women who have experienced some things. So to have your voice on this platform, I'm really excited and want to start with your why.
Yeah, so I have always wanted to help people, and I believe my passion and my purpose on this earth is to really help and support people as they go through their life journey. And that's why I decided to be a therapist. And so as I've been a therapist in Metro Detroit, I've had so many different women who have struggled with pregnancy, who've been scared through their pregnancy to give birth and after birth. And so I've supported them on the mental health side, getting them through that. But I saw that there was a need, especially for Black women. And then as a Black woman, I have a lot of friends and other people in the community who have had horrific experiences through pregnancy, speaking to their doctors, OBGYNs. They felt unseen, unheard, dismissed. And I felt as though I wanted to be a part of that change and really help to advocate, support the Black women, women in general, but specialize in Black women, and teach them that they can do this, and give them the education so that they know how to be an advocate for themselves as well when they're in these appointments, when they're talking to their doctors. And so that is my why, to help women, to help people on this part of their journey, on this part of their path, and not only on the mental health side, but including that, but also as far as it relates to birth as well.
Thank you. So need to take it one more step back. We may have some listeners who do not know. Erika,
Yes.
Before you tell us your why, what is a doula?
A doula is a birth support person who helps to give educational, emotional, and physical support to someone who is birthing. It's a non-clinical position, so we don't take blood pressure, we don't diagnose anything, but we do give those types of supports to people who are in that birthing space. Or we also do emotional, educational, and emotional, physical support to people who have already birthed, who have their babies in arms. And when that rubber hits the road, we provide support in those ways. We're not nannies, we're not babysitters, but we help families become more acclimated and synchronize the lives that they had before baby was born with the life that they have now that their family has expanded.
Awesome. So tell us about your why.
My why is to protect that sacred birthing experience so that especially Black women know that they can birth on their terms with the support that they need, and know that they have power in that labor space wherever it is, whatever they have, knowing their power. And I love being a part of that journey, just helping to open them up to what they want to do in that birth space.
So as a woman who is pregnant, do I need both? Do I need to have my OBGYN and a doula? What's the benefit of that partnership?
Is that for me or for
Yes.
Leah? Okay. I would say that the benefit of having that relationship is that you have someone who is there explicitly for you in your support. You need someone to catch your baby. That is not that's beyond my scope of practice. That's why you want to have a midwife or an OBGYN. And I'll say midwife or OBGYN, because an OBGYN is a surgeon, and they are, I don't want to say they're doctors, because there are so many practicing midwives who are doctors, but that doula is going to be there for you, because guess what? Even with a midwife or with an OBGYN, they may have multiple birthing patients, but your doula is there specifically for you, with you the entire time that you've established. So you won't have to see all of the doulas in the practice. You might have a backup, but during your time, you're not going to have someone who's coming in. Okay, my shift is over. I'm going to go now. There's going to be someone else coming in. That doula is going to be yours and yours alone. So there's continuity and consistency with that support.
Awesome. So with millennials, Leah, what do you hope it to look like for them in having these conversations?
I mean, just like what Erika said, just for them to know that they can have their birthing experience that's autonomy, and they have that autonomy within that, and that someone doesn't have to tell them how they're going to experience their pregnancy. I think that it's super important to empower the women and birthing people, millennials, in that way, so that they feel less pressure, less stress, less anxiety around their pregnancy and birth. So the education piece, the empowerment in that support, and knowing that they can do it how they want to do it, and it doesn't have to look like the next person.
Mm-hmm. That's powerful, right? Mm-hmm. We are so caught in, especially millennials, we're so caught in traditional medicine, right? Like that we don't see the full brokenness of the system. Again, especially for Black and brown women, even more so, Crystal gave the numbers at the top, even more so for Black women specifically. And you all on Facebook have heard me say several times, systemic racism is alive and well in this country, and hospitals are another system that was not designed for us to have full access to resources that we need to maintain our lives and the lives of our babies. So here's an opportunity to have a partner with you, to have someone who is going to go alongside of you. So I'm asking, Erika, would you go to the doctor with me for my appointments? What kind of access do I have as we're building this relationship prior to giving birth?
I like to call this a fast and dirty kinship, because that is exactly what you have to establish. This is one of the most vulnerable times in your life, and you need to trust me. It is on me to help you trust me. Will I go to your doctor's appointment with you? Yes, I will. During the time of COVID, it kind of narrowed that parameter a bit, but I have attended more appointments via FaceTime or Zoom with my clients because they wanted someone else in that room. Behavior changes a little bit when you have someone else who knows information. The way someone is talking to you changes when they know someone else is in the room. So I absolutely would, even if it's just to write things down or to sit there and say, hi, yes, I'm here too. Watch how you talk to that person. Or maybe I have worked with your midwife. Maybe I have worked with your OBGYN. And so then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute. It's not just the doctor, but Erika knows this person too. And they have a good relationship. And that helps also to build a community of trust, because they still know I'm there for them. But if they want to ask me, so how does that doctor work? Are they okay? They know that I'm going to be out open and honest with them. Because that doctor's not paying me. They are.
Right. I love that. Having an advocate while you're learning to find your voice,
absolutely,
right, is so important in every area of our lives. But like you said, at the time that we are most vulnerable, our bodies are changing in ways, especially if you're a first-time mom, that you have no idea what's happening. Add to that if you're a young mom, you have no idea what's happening. Add to that if you don't have a strong support system, right? Like there's so many things, so many dots that get connected, and the fear that can set in. So I'm grateful to both of you for the yes that you gave, and through your why, being able to want to share who you are, your experience, your knowledge, so that women feel that they have an advocate It is really important. So I'm grateful already to the both of you for the ways in which you are doing your work, Leah, for the ways in which you will begin your work, that you see this need and are willing to fill this gap. Talk to me, Erika, a little bit about what's the emotional toll for you?
I'm glad you asked because I just talked about this. It's the emotional toll on me is in seeing certain abuses and having to maintain that joy for my person that I am supporting, because I never want them to go into a space expecting the worst, expecting abuse. Even if they encounter it, I still want to hold the banner for joy for them, because I don't want them to lose this sacred experience to circumstances and to other things. And that can be a lot. Am I happy to give it? Absolutely. There is a reason why I don't do a lot of clients in 1 month. And that's because of the certain emotional toll it takes, whether it's good or it's bad. I've cried, I've been happy, I've been just overwhelmed by certain things. And so that's why I say, and Leah, I'm telling you this right now, get yourself some doula friends, because we doula the doulas. And I have to always know that I'm going to be one of the gatekeepers for emotions, and just to help say, okay, this is what we're experiencing. I felt it too. They weren't right. Guess what? This is still your birth. You're still in charge, and I'm still here holding your hand, because this is going to be amazing. And that can take a lot out. It's a joy, but it can take a lot out. So at the end, I usually do have that time where I have to just get with my circle and say, okay, let's decompress. I need to vent. I need to talk. Do you have the emotional space? Do you have the emotional capacity right now? Okay, if you do, here I go. If you don't, that's fine too, because I know we do the same thing, but I'm going to go and find someone. So there's a certain amount of weathering that takes place in that space as a doula, but we also find each other so we can fill each other's buckets back up.
So important, right? Like, we talk about the importance of self-care all the time. And while birth is should be such a joyful experience, right? Like, there is an emotional cost that folks are paying. And so I can only imagine what that lift must be like for you. And thank you for sharing the importance of paying attention to that and being able to make sure that your cup stays full, that you can continue to pour into others. How does one find a doula? Like, how do I know? Are you a good one? How's the fit? Is there a try on? What is that initial experience like for folks, for women?
I have had most of my greatest success with word of mouth, because like Leah, supporting, Black women, community women, I know with Birth Detroit, they have a lot of trusted doulas that they refer and use as on the referral list. And one of the greatest things, and I'll say her name, Jennifer Day, she's an IBCLC and she's an amazing doula and childbirth educator. She had the best comparison when she said, we don't refer to the yellow pages. We only refer to those that we trust, that we know trust us, that we know will be good for the community, that share our values. We may not have the same personalities, but what you do know is that we have the same mission and the same vision, the same care for community, who will absolutely help keep you emotionally safe, because we know that physical safety is major. We want to keep you emotionally safe. So I'm going to say, oh, Leah's a doula. How long has Leah been a doula? I tell you what, she's been doulaing in her way for many years. She's a therapist and she's got your best interests at heart. We've done this this is how we're alike. This is how we may be different. But what I would say is, if you were looking at me, that's wonderful, and I would be honored. I also want you to ask these people too, to see if they fit, see if they feel better with you. If you want to come back to me, here I am. But if you make a connection with another one of these women that I adore, then I would encourage you to be in that space with them. Just don't be mad if I'm their backup doula. So you might see me, but those are the ways that we help build trust in how we spread the word about other doulas.
That's huge. That's really, really important, because I think with anything, and I don't care if it's your real estate agent because you're looking for a house, or the person that's helping you become physically fit, there is a certain energy and you need to be able to connect with that. And this is even more personal. So to have someone that you feel okay with, because you don't always feel okay with your doctor. Right? You don't always feel okay with your doctor, and you don't, for some reason, people don't always say, well, you know what, this doctor isn't for me, so I'm going to another doctor.
Yes.
My daughter will be 22 years old this year. And so almost 22 years ago, I gave birth at home with a midwife. Didn't have a doula, but I did have a midwife. I don't even really know if I knew that doulas were truly a thing back then. But when we talk about those experiences and really what led me to it, the moment I got pregnant, I said, you know what? I don't want to have my baby in a hospital. I'm not sick. I don't want to do that. And then if you've ever listened to us talk about healthcare, I'm not a fan. And I had to find an OB at that point. And the one that I found, I wasn't very fond of, right? And she was pregnant. And so I saw her once, and then she went out on maternity leave. And I saw her once again, like, I don't know, right before it was time for me to have my baby. But I remember her talking about nursing. And she really, really encouraged me not to do so. Yeah, I was surprised. And this was a Black woman, and I was surprised. But she really did. And I guess she had a bad experience nursing because she had just had a baby. But she really kept pushing formula. And I don't know if it was pushing formula. I don't know if they get any type of pay for that, to put you on formula. I don't know. But she really kept pushing it. And the more I pushed back and said no, the more she pushed until she finally was like, well, good luck with it. And I was like, okay, well, you really gonna be mad because you're not about to get this delivery bill. But anyway, but it makes me think of, Erika, you told me a story about one of your patients who was in the room and they were talking about the pain medicine. Can you share that story as the doctor went through it, and how proud you were because she stood in her truth and asked the questions? Because a lot of times people go in with the doctors, and because you have this doctor in this room that knows all of this stuff, you don't stand up for yourself and you don't ask all of the questions. And doctors are really good for just going down the list and telling you what they're going to do, right, as opposed to asking what's okay with you. Can you share that story? Because I thought it was very powerful. Absolutely. And I believe it was because of the education that she got from you that she had the ability to be able to do that.
Yep. Well, it's interesting. It was the education she got through Birth Detroit, which, like I said, if you're coming through Birth Detroit, we're giving you the same message. But I was her doula. She was getting an epidural, and in the epidural, you have some pretty high potency medicines. You actually, in many, you have fentanyl, and it's a main ingredient. And what she was hearing was that he was going to, and this is the anesthesiologist talking behind her. She was in position. She knew she was getting an epidural, which if she knew it and she loved it, I was there for her. But when the doctor was going to give her a bolus, which was an additional amount to start before the catheter was inserted, She heard that extra and she said, wait a minute. She stopped him and she said, are you giving me extra fentanyl? And he said, oh yeah, I'm just going to give you a little bit. It's going to kick in right away. And then there's going to be some in the epidural in the catheter that's going to keep going for a longer period of time. And she said, but I don't have to have that first dose. And he said, no, that's just, typically we do that and you'll feel comfortable sooner. But he basically was saying, this is normally what we do. This is typically what we do. This is how we do it. And she said, but you don't have to do that. You're still going to be able to give me an epidural and I don't need that extra dose. And he said, no, you don't have to have it. In that moment, with that education, learning that she had a voice and not being empowered, but just kind of taking that flashlight and shining it on the power that she already had, she was able to control the medication that was going into her body, that was going to be going into her baby's body. And she made the choice to say, I know it's not the most amazing thing, but I'm choosing this. This is what I'm saying yes to. The other part I'm saying no to. And that's part of what we teach. We teach informed consent and we teach informed refusal. And she exercised both of those things in that moment. So did the doctor give her a hard time? No, he didn't. And when all was said and done, I let him know that I thought that was a really great move on his part to listen. So please, as you move forward, doctor, thank you for listening and do what you did even more. And maybe even next time, explain to your next patient exactly what you're going to do. So in case they don't want to do that. But I was so proud of her because she was totally in charge. She facilitated her pain management as he administered it, but she wasn't just letting anything be done to her without her knowledge and without her permission.
Yeah.
So thank you for inviting me to share that. But I think that was, to me, one of my favorite stories about a person in that birthing space taking control.
So Leah, as a person who already is in a helping space, right? Really teaching your clients the importance of voice, the importance of what is this add-on? What does that mean to you as a Black woman, as a Black therapist going down this path?
For me, I think it just really makes sense. I am in this space. I help people, find their voice, empower them, use their voice when they need to, inform consent, inform refusal, boundaries, all of those things, and knowing that they're the experts of their own lives. Like, no one else knows your body better than you do. And so I do that in this space, in the therapy space, for their lives in general, and what they come to me with. So in this birthing space, it also just makes sense, and it seems like it's just so seamless of a process, because this is what I do anyway, in my day-to-day. And just hearing that story, Erika, like, that touched me, just hearing like how powerful that education is. That brings me so much joy when a client is like, oh my gosh, I use my voice in this way and this was the outcome. And so sharing that was impactful for me too. It's a beautiful thing to see. And that's why I do what I do, at least some of why I do what I do.
I love it. Right. So it's not about this adversarial relationship between the doula and the OBGYN. It is, right? Like, we're not teaching you to swing, but we're teaching you to be ready if you have to. Right? And that swing is your knowledge. It is the power to say yes, the power to say no. Absolutely. So I want us to be clear, Facebook, that we're not saying, right, like, get you a doula so that you know how to have. No, this is about empowerment. This really is about the education you're going to need to be able to learn the things you don't even know that you need to be asking, right? And you just heard a perfect story where doctors are walking their path and not even thinking about you, the patient. And now you're hearing both Leah and Erika saying that they're an advocate for you, the individual. They see the whole of you. And I really love, Erika, all of the ways in which you touch, right? We're talking not just through the birthing process when the baby is in your arms, lactating, right? Like you're touching all of the things. Is that the experience of every doula, or was that your experience because you wanted to expand in that way?
That was my experience. And I'll be very honest, a lot of why I do what I do also is because I had a very positive birth experience. I had an OBGYN Black woman who, and I'm not saying that that's just the catch-all, because we know we can have some positive and negative experiences with Black women. But my Black OBGYN was right on there. She doulaed me. She midwifed me.
Wow.
And she's a surgeon, but she was a midwife for my birth. And that was so important to me. My mother was my lactation counselor. She was my peer counselor when I was crying and saying, I'm just never gonna get. She said, Erika, he's 7 days old. It's okay. If it's formula right now, just so that he can not be frustrated, you can latch in 2 hours. You can latch when you can try. You've got a while. Let's just keep working at it. That is support for breastfeeding as opposed to just encouragement and you can do this and advertising for breastfeeding. It was her saying, you got this. And so I know not every person has that. I want to give that back. When my first major in college was psychology because I wanted to help people, but I ended up being a teacher. So this also is kind of, it scratches a support therapy itch, and it helps me say, you know what, there are some therapists out there, and Leah, don't think I didn't write your name down, because I encourage my clients to go seek counseling. And so those are some things that I said, this is just, for the hardships that come with this job, this is probably one of the first times I have said, okay, let me go shake it off and go right back in, because I love it all. But I just think it's important for especially Black women to know that they can have a beautiful experience, knowing what may be waiting for them. They can still have a beautiful, beautiful birth experience. And here's how to do it.
Awesome. The other thing, and Leah, I am sure that you see this with your clients, right? Because they come back to therapy after they give birth. The other space, especially in the Black community, is the negative way in which we think about postpartum depression, right? And how it gets ignored, pushed down. You're okay, you've got this beautiful baby, everything should be right. So, and again, Leah, I'm sure you see, right, like your clients come back after therapy and you can recognize that. What is the relationship like, right? Like I heard you say, if baby in arms and I'm still here. What's our message to women about postpartum depression, postpartum care, to be pay attention to what may be going wrong, right? Like, no, it's not just you're frustrated because your baby won't latch, right? Like there are other things. Talk to us about that. I want to hear from both of you. So whoever wants to go first.
Well, for me and my experience working with clients who I have been working with, I can talk about like a few clients that I've had that were really scared during their pregnancy of getting or having postpartum depression, anxiety, psychosis, all of that. And so we really worked on managing those symptoms, those thoughts, beliefs in those moments, also knowing that we don't know what's going to happen, right? And so really coming back to the present moment, and really experiencing what's going on now for them. And so when they give birth, they're like, wow, I didn't expect it to go this way, right? And then they come back, and there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of exhaustion, right? Lack of motivation. I heard through my training, and Erika, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like the baby blues and, you know, just different things that occur. The hormonal imbalance, the body is changing, and you're having to take care of a baby. And I think that a lot of women, birthing people supports, they put all their attention on the baby and not the mother, right? And so I like to tell my clients to really look out for themselves, to really be there for them. Self-care is really important. Who are their supports, who can also support them and can really check in with them and be able to identify what their needs are and make sure to push for them to honor those needs. But also too, just kind of sitting, like what Erika said, like doula and the doula, really sitting and holding space for my clients, so that they can really just vent out and talk about what they need to talk about to help alleviate their emotions at the time. A lot of my clients that I've seen in postpartum, it's this whole battle between breastfeeding and formula, and they feel bad if they can't breastfeed. Mm-hmm. And they feel like they're a bad mom. Mm-hmm. Or I have mothers who don't like babies. They just don't like their baby. They feel bored. They don't want to engage with their baby, and they feel like they don't, outside of the therapeutic space, even have space to say that because of judgment and other things. And so they're holding in all of these thoughts and all of these emotions, which is bogging them down even more. And so I make it a point to really hold space for them and you know, just let them know this is a non-judgmental zone. Say whatever you need to say, like get it out, right? Because one, you're not the only one who's probably felt this way or is thinking this, and it's okay, right? And but then, like, how do we manage the emotion? Emotions come. Sometimes we have control over them, sometimes we don't. And it's about how to tolerate the emotion. So that's what I really focus on. You may feel sad, you may feel depressed, right? But how do we tolerate that? And so that's what I like to focus on with my clients. And it seemed to be helpful, and really focusing on, especially with clients who have shame and judgment around their decision making about breastfeeding or not liking kids, just knowing that it's okay. And whatever they decide is best for them and their baby is going to be best. Even if you don't breastfeed, there's no blueprint Bible for how to be the best parent. So just giving them space to just say, it's okay, this is how I feel, and that's what it's going to be, and tolerating their emotions.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend recently say the most liberating thing she ever said out loud was, I love my children and I don't love my children. I love being a mother and I do not like being a mother. She was like, it was the most liberating thing I ever said out of my mouth, because it gave her permission to acknowledge that both things can be true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, there was no book to this. And one day, even with the best experience, one day you immediately become responsible for another human being, and society has already written a script of how you're supposed to act and what you're supposed to do. And when you don't align with that, you're a bad mother, you're a bad person, right? She was like, it was the most liberating. And then I went to work, right? To ensure that the scales were unbalanced, to where I learned to love more than the times that I didn't. But I recognize, and she was like, it was the most liberating thing. Mm-hmm. It's like so powerful to be able to find your voice and not care how others felt about that very statement. So Erika, tell us about postpartum. What should women be thinking about? What is your role? How is it showing up for you in this experience?
Well, I can tell you this, it's going to show up in me doing a screening
Right.
of their emotions. And if things seem to be a little bit more severe, or even if not, I'm going to say, okay, so I have someone, her name is Leah. And if you feel comfortable, I highly encourage you to spend some time with her. But what I do, and Leah, everything that you said as far as just giving and holding, giving permission, holding space for all of those emotions, that's really a lot of what I do. What I also do is make sure they know what's normal. That 2 weeks that they call the baby blues, that is often hormonal. It's adjustment. It's, in a way, and forgive my word for this, but it's in a way, it's a trauma. It's a shock. So you're having to make some adjustments, and I cannot emphasize how important it is to get rest, because sometimes psychosis can manifest when you don't have rest to help offset what is just like mood disorder that comes from chemical. If you don't get rest and allow your brain and your body to heal and recover, then that's often when I see psychosis set in. And psychosis, I have seen managed and helped, supported, even through hospitalization. When I've seen hospitalization postpartum, in a way, I get so fulfilled because I see those families taking care of themselves, acknowledging that this is not okay. I am okay not being okay, but I want to get better. It's so important when I see that. But it's just me being there. It's me helping them get sleep. It's like, do you need me to hold the baby? Okay, I can hold the baby. Do you want me to vacuum for you? Do you want me to help cook? Do you want me to meal prep? Do you want me to see what's there? And as a postpartum doula, there are certain things that I can help in terms of looking at postpartum warning signs. Okay, I can see this. I know you're not feeling so good. Did you talk to your doctor? Did you call your doctor? No, I did. Well, I did, but my doctor didn't get back to me right away. I said, okay, let's go to urgent care. Let's go to the emergency room. Let's do this. Because I'm not going to diagnose you, but I'm also not going to just let you figure it out. I'm going to encourage you to go and still look out for your safety, emotionally, physically, and informational. So I'm definitely going to have Leah on the main line, and I'm going to go through some screenings, because there are certain things that we're trained to do, ask certain questions, look at certain patterns. And if these things seem a little bit on the higher part of the scale, that's when I'll encourage and say, you know what, I would love it if you would reach out to someone. I'm going to give you some resources. So those are some things. I'm also going to look out for partners. Partner, are you getting support? Are you getting rest? Because I know your focus is on mom and baby. Are you sleeping? Are you eating? What are you doing for yourself? Do you need me to be here while you both take a nap? Okay.
Wow. So, yep, I was definitely going there, right? Like, I wanted to talk about the partner, but you said something that I want to back up to, right? Imagine having the knowledge of knowing this thing called the baby blues, right? That, like, okay, typically lasts about 2 weeks. It's your hormone. Like, just that bit of information alone, right? Like, being able to name it is so important. And you called it a trauma, right? Like, we're going to name that too. If you don't think giving birth is not traumatic,
right?
You haven't had a baby yet, right? And so your body is going through these massive changes, and being able to name it is so important. And that knowledge, again, right? Okay, I understand that for the next 2 weeks, I might experience some things. That alone, like, okay, I can breathe, right? Right. And so just having that information, how soon? Found out I'm pregnant, I'm a month pregnant. How soon should I reach out? How soon should I find a doula?
You can start looking right then and there.
Okay.
Usually I start to do things more actively with my clients once they hit kind of the end of the second trimester going into the third trimester. That's when a lot of changes are taking place. That's when a lot of questions are coming up. If they have access to me and if they've locked me in for their estimated due date, then I'm more than happy to answer questions.
Okay.
But I want to give them space and room to move. I will ask them about their relationship with their care provider, because that's a perfect time to start shopping. And I say that intentionally: start shopping, start interviewing care providers. You can start with the one that you have already. And if you feel great about it, keep going, but know your philosophy, know what you want your birth to look like. And if the philosophies are a lot different, then now's the time for you to start looking other places and looking at other people and interviewing them, because they are going to serve you.
Can we talk about for a moment, and that was a great question, which really leads into this: how soon after finding out that you're pregnant should someone start looking? How do we pay you? Does healthcare cover this? Or is it something that we have to pay out of pocket?
Leah, did you guys talk about like the Medicaid opportunities in your training?
No, but I did see that because it was a national training. But I did see that in Michigan, as of January 1st, and I could be completely wrong, but Medicaid is covering doula services.
So yes, and that's exactly right. I wanted to know how widespread that information is. But the state of Michigan, as of January 1st, did start making doula services available to people who have Medicaid. That is great, and that is wonky. What's great about it is that it does widen access to doulas for people who have Medicaid. What is a little problematic, and I say little tongue in cheek, is that it's not a lot of compensation. And it's an amazing first step. It's not something that doulas can make a living off of, but it provides access. And to me, it takes all of us. I have private clients who can pay me directly. If they're paying me directly, I will take HSA or FHA, a lot of those healthcare spendings that are a little bit more fluid. I will take those. I'll do out of pocket. I've done the green bottle scale, because at the end of the day, every person who is birthing deserves to have a doula. And especially if I'm centering, Black women and underserved community members, then I want to make sure that they have a powerful, autonomous, beautiful birth experience. So it really depends on who you find. I am not going to tell any doula, and I don't care who they are, I am not going to tell any doula, you don't always have to get paid. Never. You will never hear me say that.
So I'm gonna put on my financial strategist hat real quick. And it goes back to how soon after finding out you're pregnant should you be searching for that doula, right? Because understanding your financial situation, too often people go down a medical route that might not be best for them because it's covered by insurance, right? And so I think if you start early, right, you have time to prepare. You can, people are going to buy you things because you're pregnant, for your pregnancy and for the baby.
Best shower gift. Best shower.
Yeah. Exactly. So let people know, hey, I want to have a doula. It's not covered by my insurance, so that people can contribute to that as well. So there's ways to get around it when you don't have the insurance. But like you said, that doula who's providing such a powerful service definitely needs to get paid. And the education and the support that you get is absolutely priceless. But what I hear throughout this whole conversation is going back to how we even got here with Amazing Women Speak in the first place is that bullshit bar, right? And yet in pregnancy, there's all of these things and all of these expectations that are put on us and that we put on ourselves, where we have to take off the strong Black woman and the independent woman cape and allow someone else to take care of us and to show us how to take care of us. So I thank you both for that you're doing, but I just think it's really, really an important space. And I don't want someone to say, my insurance doesn't cover it, so I can't.
Talk to us anyway. And I say that very loud. Talk to us anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that.
It could be a conversation that saves your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's always a way. I'm always going to make sure that I can eat. And I want to make sure that you are safe. So let's have a conversation. Don't let whether or not you can afford it prohibit you from getting some safety.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah.
Facebook, the fastest hour of your day. I promise you it happens every Sunday at 7 o'clock. These conversations are so rich and so deep, and they go so fast. And there's so much still left on the table. Erika, how can people find you?
You can call my number, and I'll give you my number, 734-718-5328. That is my phone number. My email is erikasdoula@gmail.com. That's Erika's Doula Do @gmail.com. And if you look at Birth Detroit and you would like a doula, you'll see me, Erika Millender.
I love it. Leah, how can folks find you?
For therapy services, you can find me at leahsylver at cypresscc.com, and Cypress is CYPRESS, and then cc.com. And then for doula services, I'm getting acclimated with the marketing and all of that, and I will definitely keep you posted, because I'm hoping to have a brand, a name, and all of that where you can reach me. But in the meantime, leahsylver at gmail.com is a place where you can find me for any questions that you may have.
And Leah, spell your last name.
Sylver, SYLVER.
Absolutely.
I love it. Thank you both for sharing your stories, sharing your experience, telling us a little bit more about what we can expect, what to look for, and the importance of. And Erika, I didn't get a chance to really go there, but thank you for even touching on the fact that you pay attention to this mother's significant other, the mother's significant other, because they do play a role. Oftentimes, they do play a role. And if they're absent, there's an impact on that mother, and I'm sure you're paying attention to that as well. So thank you for introducing that part of the conversation, so that as women are thinking, they understand that they can get everything that they need, and like answers to where else I need to go,
Yes.
or to help fill in the gap. So very, very thankful for you lifting that up. A dynamic conversation.
Thank you all so
Somebody's
much.
life is being impacted by this conversation. So thank you again, both, for what you do and the lives that you have impacted, the lives, Leah, you're yet to impact in this particular space. So very grateful to have shared this space with you, Crystal.
You both are incredible and amazing. So often on this platform, we talk about Black women carrying the world on our shoulders. And yet again, here is another instance where Black women are coming in to save the day, right? And it's not taking credit from anybody else, but it's just highlighting the dopeness and amazingness that we are. And we didn't need a review committee to tell us there was a problem with pregnancy-related deaths in the Black community. We didn't need a committee for that. We see that. I think it would have been better served to put those resources into as opposed to the very small portion that they get from Medicaid, that 45 million could have been used a whole lot better in allowing mothers to be able to pay doulas what they deserve to be paid for such an important job that you all are doing. I thank you and I celebrate you both in doing that. Amazing Women Speak is sponsored by the Amazing Woman Network, which was created to empower Black women. And thank you so much, because that is what you guys are doing. And it goes under focusing under our pillars of reclaiming personal power, mind, body, and spirit, reclaiming financial power, and increasing our social involvement, hoping and helping every Black woman to own, honor, and execute our amazing as it was established at birth. And I think the work that you all do is really a big part in helping us reclaim our personal power. Thank you so much. I celebrate both of you. I'm Crystal Gunn. I am a Black woman and I own my amazing.
Yes, you do. As always, I close shows out wanting to pause and say thank you, Crystal, for your continuous obedience to the call in your life. We are often put on display in all of the wrong ways. Mm-hmm. And you've created a platform that we get to celebrate amazing women. We get to hear their stories. We get to learn, we get to collectively grow and understand the power that is within each and every one of us. So I thank you, my friend, for being obedient. No matter what it takes, you continue to show up and you continue to bring women to this platform that we can grow and love on each other in a very real, authentic, and true way. And for that, I will forever be grateful and forever blessed that I get to call you my BFF. My name is Michele Harper. I am a Black woman, and I absolutely, without apology, own my amazing. Leah.
My name is leahsylver. I am a Black woman and I 100% own my amazing.
Yes, you do, my friend. Erika.
My name is Erika Millender. I am a Black woman and I am blessed to have the honor of owning my amazing.
Love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. I'm sure you got a lot of information. Please share this, especially if you have someone and know someone who is thinking about becoming pregnant or is pregnant right now. This is definitely information that they can use. Be sure to mark your calendars for the entire month of March, for it's Women's History Month. And we will be speaking with some dope women who are either part of the very few women or the very few Black women in their industry, or they're killing the game in whatever industry they're in. And so these women will be sharing their stories as we celebrate them and their contributions to the industries that they represent. And they are making history every single day of their life, owning, honoring, and executing their amazing. Thank you so much. We will see you next Sunday at 7 p.m.